Hey, brother. How you doing? It's Yosef.
Susie. That was her name.
Right. You got time for
Barbara.
one more call?
Of course, brother. How you been?
Good. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm. This is not what I wanted, but it is what it is, right?
Well, when you say not what you wanted, a lot of energy you're processing, a lot of chaos.
Well, I'm just. I don't want to be. I don't want to have to deal with the bad part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I have to. I have no choice.
Okay. Well,
so what's up? How you been?
I've been struggling too. In fact, I was calling back Dr. WC. She had called me yesterday, and I forgot she was doing the call this late, and so I decided to jump on. Hey, Dr. WC.
Hey, brother. I hadn't heard your voice in a couple of weeks, and I just wanted to touch bases and say hey.
Well, hey. Well, hey. Yeah, there's been so much. There's been so much going on that it's been a really tough birthing for the last few weeks. And Smarty, I think you're probably feeling that, brother.
Yeah, definitely. But it has to be done, bro.
Well, I mean, we engaged in this body in this time for this purpose. I mean, that's why we're here. We signed up for it. And I fight it, and I get angry about it a lot of times. Now you're doing calls. You can pick up all that energy and all the hopes and dreams and fears and frustrations and agonies and sicknesses, and you can pick it up, and you absorb it like a sponge, right? Because you're open.
Sir.
Chakras are open, so it's heavy. It's very heavy. People don't realize doing these calls, and Dr. WC, I think, has a very motherly, Mother Earth type of energy where she can just take it all on, and it doesn't stick to her maybe the way it sticks to us. But part of what at least what I was heavy about, why I got off calls, and even got off posting, was because I was just picking up everybody's energy, and I literally was, my health started to decline. And
I just don't absorb it. I feel you. I just don't absorb it.
Yeah, no, it's a gift. It just kind of comes off. And
same here.
But for me, it didn't. It hung there, and it's funny. Once I stopped doing calls, Marty, and I stopped posting, I lost 20 pounds. Wow. I lost 20 pounds.
No wonder why I'm gaining weight and can't lose it.
Well, part of it is grounding. No. There's a deeper meaning to your weight.
Yeah, no. What I got was that I have to be a certain weight because I'm getting ready to change in an instant. That was from up top.
Yeah, you're also holding the vibration of the world.
Right.
And I know there's not too many people on these calls, but you're holding the weight of apostles is kind of what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's heavy, and so even if you were to try and diet, you as long as you were holding the weight for the world, I mean literally you're like duct tape trying to hold heaven and earth together, right? Until they merge. Right?
Tell me about it. That's why I'm working so hard to bring all the frequencies in so I can relax.
Right. Right. So you can finally get off. You can get off the clock, right?
Right.
Yeah, and so that's where the weight comes from. That's where the struggle and spirit comes from. Is because you're probably functioning now most of your conscious day in spirit.
Mm-hmm.
You say that's probably accurate?
Yes, sir. All
so,
nonstop, 24/7.
So if you didn't have the weight, literally, you would be floating away. You would
Right.
descend right out of here. And,
right.
And I've noticed that about myself. I was able to come back into my body, and when I did that, I was able to drop the weight because I wasn't in prayer, I wasn't in meditation, or I wasn't being shown things, or somebody starts talking, and all of a sudden it sends you into a different place, right?
Yeah.
So you pick up their spiritual experiences, their soul memories, and then they use you to communicate message, and it's draining. It's really hard to go in and out of spirit. Masters can do it. That's what Christ was, right? He came in and out of spirit, came in and out of his body, showed that that the skin and bones aren't the end all be all to existence.
Right.
And he was a master of it, whereas we're still kind of going to school and learning that class. I feel you, brother.
Yeah, it's pretty natural to me. Like, that doesn't affect me, and that's why certain people were afraid, because they were attempting to do things and they had no effect.
Right.
So.
Well, you're also protected. The good news is you're protected when you're in that state, when you're being used like that. There's nothing that can harm you.
Yeah.
Hey man, they came around and killed my dog, trying to scare me out of it. So.
Yeah. They do things like that. I mean, that's why it takes cojones to do what we do, bro.
I'm not that brave. Maybe you are, but I'm not. I just feel like to be perfectly honest, and maybe you pick up on this, maybe you don't, I feel sacrificed.
Yeah, I felt that. I felt that, and I actually have a message for you, and the message is to open up. And to trust more, and bro, I'm here for you, brother. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing.
I feel you. And my message to you is, you are T'Challa. I don't know if that resonates with you, if you've seen Black Panther or not, but
yeah, I know. That's why I went over there to watch it by myself, because as I was sitting there, I was annihilating stuff. Everybody, look, everyone on my team got the message to go watch that movie by themselves.
Oh, interesting. That makes sense, right? That's the same vibration. So if you were in on it, they would all be in on it.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, I tell you what, try and convince white people to go see that movie. It's like pulling teeth, man. They don't get it.
Well, it all depends, because it all depends, because over here, I mean, I was sitting. There was a bunch of white people sitting next to me, and we all, we were just enjoying it.
Well,
so it all depends.
The way I tell people now, I tell people, don't look at it as a movie of fiction, science fiction. Look at it as a documentary.
Right, and that's why I cried during the movie.
Oh yeah, oh God, yeah. If you're African, and you don't, and that doesn't move you, and by the way, any type of African, Native African, American African, mixed, if you don't feel that, because there's something in it for everybody, right? Depending on how angry you are, whether you would associate with Killmonger or the tribal leader in the hills that's been ostracized.
Right.
Or the king, or the queen, or the princess, or
Yeah, for me, it was more of of the technology and how they're putting the stuff in the movies and they're telling the truth and they're suppressing stuff, and it's like, son of a bee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I cried, because I was upset. Because all the suffering, and we can all end this.
Well, but we are.
Yeah, we are. Well, I mean, that's why I was thinking, like, you know.
We are. I know, brother. Yeah, brother. I can tell you, at least from the banking end and the geopolitical end, and everything that you're seeing now is all scripted. There is literally nothing that is organic and hasn't been for many years.
Yeah, we know. We can see all of it.
Yeah, it's really it's actually kind of painful to watch now, because you know it's scripted and you know what's coming. You know the end of the movie. It's almost like you have to wait. You can't fast forward it, right?
Oh, yeah.
You gotta wait for the movie to play out. And but it's playing out. It's they've actually been redeeming people since Friday night in the United States. So once Trump signed the bill, the omnibus, RV was in that. They've been calling people in. So there's no more struggle. It's on, and it's a slow moving train, but it's finally on. And I just wanted to kind of throw this out there, Dr. WC, just for your listeners, that the Zim's going to be redeemed on Air Force bases across the country.
Yep, I can confirm that, because I knew that months ago.
So if you have an Air Force base in and around your city or town, that's where they're going to take you when you call in. And if you have other currencies, they will take you into other more traditional banking spots, but the Zim will be done through military liaison and on bases with HSBC bankers that are sleeping and living at the bases now. And the rate will be, I haven't seen it this morning, it's trading again, but I think it should be over about $4 by the time we get in there, and we'll just keep going up. So the crazy thing is, when they do intake your Zim and they do redeem it, regardless of how much you have or at what number you redeem it at, they will actually profit, because they'll resell the credits over the next 30 years to central banks of the world and sell it at a higher price, because the number is going to keep going up. The sovereign number, just for people that are interested, is over $550,000 per one Zim. Per 1,000 Zim. So, and then last night with the Chinese oil future contracts that came online that was the actual start of the gold standard in the world. They hit it, and now they don't even talk about it, because they won't even mention gold in the statements now. But that was the actual launch of the gold standard. So they made the announcement, I think, September 17th, I think, like 2017, in a Japanese or an Asian news magazine called the Asian Nikkei.
You want one of these things?
And that was the end of not only the petrodollar, but that was really the end of the U.S. Treasury as well, the old Cabal Treasury, because that ended the sale, basically, of U.S. dollars converting into treasuries, for oil sales, which is how the petrodollar was fueled. So they took the fuel away from the petrodollar, which I find kind of ironic. So you should be getting your numbers at any moment. It's my understanding they're taking the end of March to finish up the bond redemptions for the Zim, and then they'll start with the currencies, normal currencies, in April 2nd. So, and then you'll have basically until about June 30th to redeem your Zim without any tax or penalty or any interest, any tax on interest that's accrued. You'll have a period of time to do all that stuff. So it's remarkable stuff. And what's interesting is when they issued the bills, the notes, bond notes back in 2008, it was actually the start of the new financial system. It was the first issue against the new financial system in metal, and they suspended their currency on June 30th, 2008, and they should be making the official announcement on the currencies thereafter. So it'll be almost 10 years to the day. It probably will be 10 years to the day from the time they started the process to the time that they finished. And I just find that precision remarkable, and how they were made to suffer. They suffered and sacrificed all those years. They sacrificed generations of Africans, really. You know how you talk about the suffering that you're going through, and the pain and the discomfort of waiting. I mean, imagine waiting 4 decades, you know, and the Chinese waiting hundreds of years to do this. So everybody's got their scars, certainly, but and ours are no better or worse than somebody else's, regardless of how long we waited. But when you just think about the sacrifices that were made to see this day and the seamless nature of it, and there was no world war to usher it in, or no public dropping of bombs or anything like that. It's last night was the kind of the end of the GCR, if that makes any sense. And the new world was ushered in. And it's funny because when you look at the press clippings in Asia of the Chinese that were on the trading floor in Shanghai, they will actually say that it took us 17 years to implement this oil future contract in yuan. And 17 years ago from 2018 is 9/11, 2001. So that's when they decided to do this and implement their elimination of the U.S. dollar and replace it with the yuan and several other currencies, but primarily the yuan is the lead, and do it through oil sales, energy, and a variety of other means. But I just wanted to come and put that in the system. So
little icing on the cake.
Well, I feel like this audience, Marty, is the truth of the world. It's the true internet.
Right.
And it's
I wanna tell you something. There's and I know you can see them. I sent you some of the biggest and baddest angels known to man.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
there's one behind you and 2 next to you on each side.
Praise God. Thank you.
So we'll see what's up now, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I feel them on my shoulders, actually. They got a hand on either shoulder.
Right. When I had my last meeting with my father and the Galactics, and one of the people on the side actually called me a kid, and that I wasn't ready to step into who I am. And I told them, I pretty much said, go F yourself, because you're not down here suffering and doing the things that we're doing. And pretty much they were removed. And when that happened, the most beautiful and biggest angels popped into their place, and they are happy. They are happy to take orders. And those are the ones that are standing with you right now, just so you know.
Right. Praise God. Well, the order is to release the world.
Right.
let them into the realm so they can understand that
right. Yep. And the last
experiences are not necessary to live through anymore.
Yep. And
the
last meeting that I was in was a multi-dimensional meeting. There was different races of all different kinds, and the last thing was for the prophecy to be fulfilled where everyone is healed and the money is released. That was the last meeting.
Yeah, brother, there is no more money.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's just it's funny that the release has already occurred. It's the openness to receiving the light, right?
Right.
To receiving the love as pure, kind of like chocolate. You know, I mean, boy, there's some good chocolates out there, and some of them are pretty rich. And if you eat it too fast, you just you got to sit down because the sugar's too much. You know. So
yeah.
Kind of like that. There's so much love that's here for us now that per your advice to me about opening up, that's really what you're telling me, is to allow the love to absorb me. And I'm working on it. I really am. I'd like to say I'm trying, but there is no try. There's only do and do not, says Yoda. But to receive that, I have to let go of the other things that fueled my fire for a long time. And a lot of that was anger or hatred for the deceits and the lies and the corruption and the killing and the maiming and the genetic manipulation and the cover-ups and the propaganda and food supply repression or alteration of food. I mean, chemtrails, take your pick, right? We've discussed it all in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, none of that gets to come with. None of it. And that's one of the sacrifices to ascension, is you have to let go of things that hold you down, the weight of things. And one of the things that is holding me back or has held me back is my desire to serve the world and to serve the poor, specifically, the African community. And the reality, Smarty, is that Christ has that. And the reason that Christ has that, and he's much better equipped for it than I, is because Christ was black. And it's one of the great lies that's been perpetrated on all of humanity. And the world is going to know the true visual truth of Christ very soon. And you're talking about a lot of people that have deep-seated beliefs in names that aren't really his name. You have beliefs in how he looked and what he said that aren't so. And all of that's going to get reconciled and corrected. And there's going to be a lot of really good Christian people that are going to be searching for what Christ really is again. And that's why I really enjoyed, Black Panther from that standpoint of there was one character that was benevolent and generous and patient and kind, and T'Challa, because he was king and he was serving a people. And there was another warrior king, if you will, in Warmonger that wanted to slay and take a pound of flesh for the flesh that was taken off in him, right? And his father and the whole bit.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they were of equal royal blood, they were not sharing the same loving consciousness space. and ultimately the more loving of the two won out. And I think that's a wonderful lesson for your kingdom, Smarty, is that, and all of the listeners that are going to be coming into royalty, because if God has put you here in this time with this consciousness on this call, you are royalty to him.
Right.
You are an apostle for him. And all the others that are going to walk across your bridge, you have a choice of shaming them because they didn't know, or you have an opportunity to forgive, comfort, educate, encourage, bless, harmonize with them as a king would to his shepherd would to his flock, or a king would to his people. And that takes courage, more so than standing in the middle of a fire and setting off the flames. I think the ability to love and to open your arms to those that have wronged you, not forgetting what's happened, but forgiving, and then allowing yourself to transcend the anger into mercy. I think people will watch that, and it will just your presence anywhere that you go, anywhere.
I had a lot of practice, that's for sure.
Well, and I'm talking to Dr. WCT. She knows it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking to myself too. There's parts of me still swinging a sword too. And I'm working on it. I'm trying to let go of it, but I'm scared. I don't know what will fuel my fire if I let go of the sword. And even the intel has been insane the last 2 weeks. Just it never stops, right? And more access. They're telling things late because they don't have to worry about hiding it or keeping it back. So everything's pouring out, right? So I'm getting the whole history of how it all came into being. And without telling everybody, it's a lot more titillating than the reality of just, letting it be over. I'm shocked at how loved we are and how much God trusts us to help others across this bridge of ignorance to excellence,
Right.
I'm just shocked at how much he loves me, how much he loves you, how much he loves the Real Truth family. I'm shocked. Black Panther is currently sitting as the 12th most, at least from a box office standpoint, seen movie in the world, and it's going to move up to about third by the time it's all said and done. So it'll be the biggest comic book movie ever. But can you just imagine the consciousness that an all-black cast about Africa, about the minerals of the world, about forgiveness, about the history of mankind from a genetic standpoint, being birthed out of the earth of Africa. I mean, the whole asteroid that hit the earth and created all the minerals and created all the wealth, which is a true thing. That spread across the world within 6 weeks. Spread all across the world. It's in every country. The consciousness of that one movie and this time, that's not good marketing. It's not a hip soundtrack, which is a great soundtrack, by the way, but it's Christ spreading his seed again and reminding people he's back. It's the truth, is what it is. And I know it's reflected. I'm reflecting it in dollar signs. I'm not trying to, but the old movie guy in me knows what it takes to distribute a movie globally. And the reason they don't make black films with black leads in major movies, because they always claim that nobody wanted to see black actors, or there was a bias against the African, around the world internationally. And what's happening is it's not a black thing. It's not an African thing. It's just the truth.
Right.
It's a documentary, and the only way that could happen is if the quarantine has been lifted off of humanity, if the angels you speak of are really, pulling the strings and making people do the right things, putting it in their heart to do the right things.
We definitely are, bro.
Yeah, repeat the same old nonsense. And really, that's, to me, that's Christ, in a 2.5-hour movie, explaining to the people what's really going on. And that movie is the way seer, for the cinematic future of the world. That will just go on and on and on, and there'll be more light and more truth. And now they can't stop distribution of movies because of the digital release, because of it's easier to make films now, right? Because of cameras and phones. I mean, it's just, you can score your own movies now. They can't stop the process anymore, and so they can't stop the love from being visualized and ultimately monetized, which creates more and more of it. I mean, really, there is no more limitation on humanity. It just doesn't exist. And the Zim redemption is just a representation of heaven and earth blending together now and being allowed to come back together and become one. Black, white, yellow, it doesn't matter. And our cells are going to rejuvenate, right? This is what the crystal healing that you've been doing. Why you've been working on this for so long. I mean, you don't just have yourself prepped up and ready to go. You've got a whole little army, prepped up and ready to go.
Yes, sir.
I mean, he has prepared you, and you have been a good steward and a good servant. And I think Dr. W.C. I know has been a good steward. And I know a lot of people listening have done their preparation. I've done my preparation, and we'll have our little kingdoms. But like you said, how everybody saw the movie. You didn't even have to spread the word; they were already on it. We're all going to be doing the same exact work, and it's healing. God will take care of the heavy lifting. We just got to take care of our little kingdom and heal up whoever's in our presence. That's all. And we don't have to go reach every corner of the world. He's already got every corner of the world. And the hard thing for me has been letting everybody out, trusting everybody else to do the work, because they needed resources. We got them the resources. Now they need the preparation, and you can't make somebody be prepared for this. They come to it when they're ready. You just can't force somebody to feel Christ in the way that Christ truly is until they are ready to feel Him. That agape, is available at all times with infinite connection. And you just can't force somebody into that vibration until they're ready. It's not fair to them. It creates frustration and anxiety in you. It's created it in me. And I want to let everybody know how much I struggle in this and have struggled in this, to stay in this, not so much as to educate and get the message out, but just to be authentic in my own skin, learning what I am and what I'm not, regardless of what knowledge that I have, what knowledge that you have. Because you go to a party, you start opening your mouth, people move away.
Sometimes I do it just so that they do move away.
I know. That's funny. But I don't want people moving away from me. You know what I mean? I want people to feel Christ around me. That's what I want. And the only way to do that is just to be loved. And
right.
I don't have to express my genius. I don't have to express my research. I don't have to express the amount of zeros I got in my accounts or how I got it or, this, that, or the other thing. I just have to be present with people and be loving, and those things will come out naturally.
Yes, sir.
A little bit relations with Christ to, allow the world to come forward when they're ready. I mean, think about this. So Christ walks the earth knowing that they were going to not only slaughter him, or he was going to let them slaughter him, but that his image would be completely spun around and turned around against the world, and that religious wars would be fought in his name for centuries thereafter, millennia. I mean, think about that. And he still came and did his part because at the time that was how the world needed to be inched forward. And him returning and doing this, release of his Christ consciousness. We'll call it wealth, but it's Christ consciousness. It's consciousness that we're getting heaps of.
Yep.
It's not zeros in an account. It's the ability to receive, express, and share love. And that's we're inching forward again. We're not going to automatically ascend, in 3 months. It might take, several generations of us, several incarnations of us to get there. All we need to do in this little era, this little window we get of our lives, is just to be authentically our covenant and connect with that and live that. That's all. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. If we try and do too much, we'll get unhappy, we'll get uncomfortable. If we try and do too little, Lord will kick us in the butt and get us moving in the right direction until we get back online. But we're all here to serve Him. We're all here. We're all little missionaries, in these little bodies doing something for Him because we're here. And like I said, you get too big for your britches in relationship to why you agreed to be here now, and you'll be very uncomfortable, as I got uncomfortable. And the flip of that is if I tried to do too little, I also got uncomfortable, got anxious, I got uptight.
Mm-hmm.
And I know everybody's connecting with this because it's just the truth, And neutrality and balance is so important, moving for your health. People talk about your health, but your breath, being able to inhale and exhale and just feeling good in your skin and being at a weight that God created you at, not at what man has kind of convinced you need to be. One of the ways I lost weight was I started doing that intermediate fasting. I started not eating for 16 hours and then eating for 8, right? So you break the day up into 3 and you eat for a third of your day and don't eat for the other 2/3. And one of those, 2/3 is sleep for the most part. So you basically have to control yourself for the 8 hours you're awake, and then you basically lose weight. But what it really said to me is I don't need half the food I'm intaking, period. I just don't need it. And then it hit me, oh my God, they're telling us we need 3 meals a day and we've got to eat all these food groups and you can't watch a TV show or listen to a radio program or even go on a website and not see food. Right? You're always inundated with eat, consume. And your body isn't set up for that the way God intended. We just don't need that much food. Same thing goes for entertainment or the internet or, on your cell phone. Same thing goes for partying or being out or networking, or exercise, right? Some people, all they do is they exercise, 3, 4, 5 hours a day, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week, and their joints get destroyed by the time they're 50. How about runners that are just running and running and running and running until they need knee and hip replacements, And they think they're being healthy, but what the reality is they're addicted to exercise they don't need. So I just see this we think we're going to need all this stuff or we're missing out on all this stuff because suddenly we'll have money and can buy everything. And the exact opposite will be true. It will be lightening our backpacks to demonstrate our consciousness, not adding to it. Now, how do you say that to somebody that's been broke all their life and suddenly got millions and billions of dollars? They're not going to hear that message, on the first pass. But in essence, that's the truth. Less truly is more. It's better for your health. It's the possessions that you don't have will not possess you. I'm not saying don't have transportation or a house. I'm just saying that the plane that you're looking at online you may not need, or the yacht, or I don't think it adds to your life. Or the diamonds you're buying. I don't know that it adds to your life, and in many respects, I think it takes away from it. So, less is more, and that fasting. They call breakfast the break fast, right? That's what breakfast is. Well, I think the concept of fasting, and even though you have the ability to buy anything you want, not purchasing and not overextending and not over-gifting, too, which is another thing people are really going to come to grips with. That the second they start doling out checks, that things are going to change real fast and not for the better. Just the whole concept of restraint, restraint, is so foreign to the American consciousness, especially those that have suffered in poverty or reduced means, like most of us, listening on the call tonight. So, I offer that fasting concept out of a sense of abundance and having enough and being enough and not needing to spread, our wealth or our intelligence or our wisdom or our teachings, too fast to too many, and taking a nice, slow, long runway because we've earned the right to walk and not run anymore. We've earned that right through our suffering and through our sacrifice. We've earned the right to take our time. And we don't have to get to every corner of the world, because the reality is, if we're getting the zeros and having this redemption moment, Christ has put it into the hearts of people in those areas, in those parts of the world. They'll fill their covenant and do their part. They will, and we got to trust the Lord. I got to trust the Lord that He'll do that, so that I can do the best with my little kingdom where I'm at. And I don't know. I guess I needed to call in and share that and hear Dr. W.C.'s voice, hear your voice, Smarty.
It'll all get done according to plan, brother.
Yeah. Well, I didn't always feel that. I didn't always feel that.
Well, I can pretty much guarantee that. How about that?
Well, I'll take it. I'll take your guarantee.
You are welcome.
I'll claim witness on it.
No doubt.
Anyway, I just wanted to share love for Real Truth family, and just wish everybody a good night. And WC, I'll hit you tomorrow when you got a little bit more energy. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for popping in. It's good to hear your voice.
Yep. Awesome, brother.
Thank you for the intel. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. Well. Just a little. You guys are all...
Yeah, but it looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's confirmation.
Right, much love.
All right, brother. Love you.
Okay. Love you, too. Love.
All right.
Question for Smarty.
All right, this is the last one because I got to get up early. What's up, brother?
Okay. Smarty, you gave out an 800 number, and I was working on getting rid of some pain, and it's all gone. But I got a pen now, and I'd like to write that number down.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
It's 1-800-747-8325.
Outstanding, my brother.
You have a good night, and just keep calling until you get somewhere.
Okay, thank you. Talk to you soon.
All right, y'all have a good night. I'm going to rest because I gotta go to a cosmic meeting, and just so you know, there will be a celestial ceremony. That being said, y'all have a good night. Dr. WC, I'll